afternoon, everybody. I am Diaz-Balart, and it is such an honor to be able to introduce one of our most beloved champions and someone who the Seed School of Miami is literally here because of his leadership and support, Mr. Manny Medina. And it's also an honor to be able to introduce Mr. Medina to our outstanding scholars during Hispanic Heritage Month. Mr. Medina is one of the most successful people in the world. Not many people can say that they have built their own companies and sold it for over $1 billion, but Mr. Medina can, and it was actually $1.4 million. Mr. Medina left Cuba at the age of 13 years old because of the political challenges in the country. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from Florida Atlantic University, and with a passion for finance and technology, Mr. Medina later founded Emerge Americas, which brings the top technology talent and trends, not only from the entire Western Hemisphere, but even from the entire world to right here in Miami. But Mr. Medina's passions are far from just business and technology. His beautiful family comes first. He's an avid scuba diver and a key supporter of one of the world's only underwater laboratories where they study climate change, and even NASA astronauts train there. It's called Aquarius, and it's right here in Florida's Key Largo, which is owned by Florida International University, thanks to Mr. Medina. Mr. Medina, words can't express our gratitude for all you've done for our outstanding students and our school, and it's such an honor to have you here today with us. I believe you've met Miss Latrice Thomas before, who is also a founding member of our school. Miss Thomas is one of Seed's brightest stars, not only for her professional excellence, but for her passion and leadership that she brings to our scholars. With that, welcome Mr. Dina to the Seed Leadership Speaker Series.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Mrs. Diaz-Balart. Thank you so much, Mr. Medina, for your time with us today. I'd like to start out asking you a little bit more about scuba diving and other hobbies and activities that can bring you joy. Why scuba diving? What is it about scuba diving that you enjoy the most?
Well, firstly, I want to tell you how proud I am to be here today. To stand in front of you, all of you, and address you is actually a dream. To see Seed up and running and thriving with such great, brilliant students such as yourselves is something that I'm very proud to have played a small part on, and just to see it. So I'm very happy to be here today. As far as diving and scuba diving, I have salt water in my veins. I was lucky enough to have literally was born on the ocean. My dad, from a very early age, I knew how to swim before I knew how to walk, and basically, and I've spent a lot of my time in the ocean. And I'm very, so I love the ocean. I think the ocean is such a fantastic world. Scuba diving, free diving, fishing, anything that has to do with the ocean is something that I love. It's a world that I feel I belong in and I feel a part of.
Thank you so much for that. And what other hobbies do you have besides anything having to do with water?
So again, I'm a voracious reader. I love to learn a lot. I love to travel. I love to play tennis. I love martial arts, and I basically do just like I've not enough hours in the day to do everything that I like.
Thank you so much, Mr. Medina. That's awesome. So I wanted to ask you, how have your hobbies helped you throughout your career and your work-life balance?
Yeah, so I mean, it basically my hobby of martial arts has been very helpful because first, I started because I didn't like to get myself beat up, and then eventually it ended up being a way of life, and understands, and just a whole. I was very lucky to have great teachers. So basically, it helps me kind of center and understand myself a lot better. So that's been a hobby that's helped me a lot. And I like to keep in shape. So my other hobbies of the ocean and tennis help me keep my head sane.
I hear you, and I love that. I'm so glad you have those things that you're engaging on a regular basis. Keep a smile on your face, which you deserve. So, Mr. Medina, many of our students absolutely love video games. Have you ever played video games, you being in the technology field? And if so, which one is your favorite?
Yes, I'm not a big video game player, but I've played. I mean, I play Minecraft with with my grandkids. They're avid Minecraft players, but I'm not a. To be honest with you, if you want somebody to take along to help you win video games, you don't want to take me.
Heard that. I don't play them very much either, but I like Pac-Man. Thank you so much for that. Can you please tell our scholars a little bit more about Aquarius? It sounds amazing.
So actually, what Tia didn't say is that the reason I got involved in Aquarius was because of a phone call she made to me, and she invited, she and her husband, who's a very good friend of mine, invited me to go see this incredible underwater habitat that was going to be decommissioned. And this is a place where you go down and you dive down, and then you live there. Scientists live there for up to a month at a time underwater. And the advantage of that is that you're able to study all the marine life without having to come back up without having to decompress. So you're able to see marine life in its natural stage as if you were a part of them. So I went that first day and I became fascinated. Aquarius is the only place like this, and it was actually going to be decommissioned. And so I got together with a few friends, and we decided we cannot let this is too precious. So we ended up convincing FIU, Florida International University, to take it over, and then we raised some money for it. And today, Aquarius is renowned all over the world, from people like Jacques Cousteau's son to all kinds of incredible scientists come to Aquarius, and even astronauts come to train there because it's the closest thing before if you're going to go to the space station. You go there and it's like being on space. So Aquarius is a phenomenal, and I think we can arrange probably to get kind of a feed from Aquarius for your students at one point to be able to see. You can actually get one of your teachers who dives to go down to Aquarius to teach a class from there to the students. So
That would be
That's amazing. I'm sorry. That would be outstanding. And we do have some staff that dive, so let us know. And we have
no,
several
you can just tell Tia. We'll absolutely make it. We'll make the arrangement. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I have
Your students would love it. Yeah.
They would, and they're interested in marine biology. I have several students that go into that field.
Yeah. So look, what in the meantime what they can do is they can go and Google Aquarius, and they can learn a lot more about it there.
Thank you so much. I will definitely be on top of that and make sure that they do that. So thank you. I'm so glad I asked that question. All righty. So next up, what's the first job you ever had, Mr. Medina?
The first job?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, post-university or before? Because before, my first job was delivering papers. I cleaned animals in the veterinarian. I did everything that could possibly be done in order to make a living. Waiter, busboy, you name it, I did it.
I love it. And even then, I'm sure you learned a bevy of skills that you still continue to demonstrate today.
Of course. My first real job when I graduated from college was I was a CPA with Pricewaterhouse, which is a very large auditing firm. That was my first job that I had.
That's outstanding. So how did you go about the process of applying and earning that position? Because I know about that company. It's very well regarded and distinguished.
Yeah, so it was very difficult because but at the same by that time, basically I was a good student, and then they basically the Pricewaterhouse started something called Pricewaterhouse Latin American Department, and they were recruiting young bilingual people such as myself. And they were very early on understood. It was funny, Hispanic Heritage Week, they understood how important the Hispanic influence was going to be here. So they wanted people such as myself that could deal on both languages in the business world. So that's how I started.
I think that's beautiful. And I wish I knew more than one language. Growing up in Miami, I always learned to speak Spanish. I fell in love with the language in elementary school, and I had the best, such a beautiful language. I love it. One and represent that. I think that's beautiful. So in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, my next question for you is to ask you, how important is it that we celebrate that and celebrate the accomplishments, the contributions, the culture, heritage, and our ancestors for Hispanic Heritage Month?
Look, I think it's critically important is the nature of our country, right? That's what makes our country so great, that so many of us can have our own heritage and our own different ethnic backgrounds, but at the same time, we all come together to make America the great country that it is. I think the Hispanic aspect is particularly important because it has been a very big influence in this country for hundreds of years. It's not, people think about it over the last, 30 or 40 or 50 years, and it has not been like that. So the governor of Florida, Florida itself belonged to Spain. I mean, the influence of the Spain and the entire Latin America through the years has been phenomenal. So I think it's something that we're very, very proud of.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So thinking back to when you were in high school, how did you go about the process of choosing which university to attend?
So yeah, in my particular case, that was not a real, it was not a classical way of doing it because, I got, I came here when I was 13 years old. I went to school. I didn't speak English. I had a very, my time in high school was not a very good, happy time. I got into a lot of trouble. So basically I ended up, luckily, through a lot of encouragement and pushing and coercing and threatening from my mother, I ended up going to Miami-Dade College, which really changed my life. Miami-Dade College, I'm very grateful to Miami-Dade College. I most definitely would not have been here talking to you today if it wasn't for them. And they've actually got a very, troubled, mad young man that they were able to turn around. So once I got to Miami-Dade College, I loved learning. I loved education after. And so then Florida Atlantic University was far enough where I would wanted to live on campus, which I did. I live on the dorm, great experience. And then at the same time had a great accounting school, and I knew people such as Pricewaterhouse recruit there. So that's why I decided to go to Florida Atlantic University.
Thank you so much for that. What experiences did you have in college that prepared you for your accounting?
I'm sorry, to prepare me for what?
For your career in accounting and in business.
Yeah, so my career in accounting, actually, to be honest with you, was very short-lived because I'm not an accountant by devotion. I had nothing wrong with being an accountant, but for me, it was a means to an end. I became a CPA because at a very early age, I had credibility as a CPA. So basically, and Pricewaterhouse gave me the name. So I never really, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be on my own and live on my own. And that's so, however, getting the CPA and learning, it was a base that, and a background that has helped me the rest of my life. My business career has been very, very helped by the excellence that a firm like Pricewaterhouse and learning the intricacies of financial statements help you very much as you're becoming an entrepreneur.
Thank you. Mr. Medina, was there anyone who ever doubted you, and what did you do to prove them wrong?
I've been doubted my entire life. It's a continuous process. It doesn't matter how, and the only way you prove them wrong is by succeeding, right? So basically, I've been, and that's one thing that I recommend to all your scholars is that they're going to be doubted all the time, but if they have something they believe in, if they have that fire in the belly and they know they're right, and then just, basically prove them wrong. And the only way you prove them wrong is by succeeding. It's not easy because you have to continue to persevere. You got to make sure that you don't quit and that you keep following that dream, but eventually it's the greatest thing on earth. So
I think that's some of the best advice ever, because we all are going to face doubt. Thank you so much. I face them in my own life as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how you built yourself as a brand?
Yes, so this is one of the number one advice that the best advice that I can give all your scholars today is that you're very young, the way I like to think about it is you think of yourselves as a brand. You're Mike or William or Jerome or Natisha, whoever you are your brand, right? And it's up to you to protect that brand. Why do you buy something? Why do you buy the given type of toothpaste, or why do you buy Toyota versus Mercedes, or Chevrolet versus Ford? Why do you buy a brand? Because you trust it, right? And that's you becoming that brand, you have to become very trustworthy. People have to rely on you. So make sure that that brand of yours is something that you guard by becoming reliable. Make sure that when you give your word is your bond. So, you know, if Michael gave his word, you know that it's good for it. So, because what happens is when you become that trusted brand, things come to you. People come to you because they want to come to somebody that they can trust, right? And so opportunities come to you. So if you, part of your brand also is keep a positive attitude. I know it sounds like easy to say, it's very difficult to keep a positive attitude. I think it's very important for you to make sure that that brand of yours is associated with things that are positive. Don't become that Debbie Downer. Don't become that person that, you know, I'm sure all of you have a friend that, you know, he or she always has a drama. We all have drama. It's how you react to it. I guarantee you 100% that bad things are going to happen to you. They have to happen to you. It's the yin and the yang of life. So basically, I think having that positive attitude, creating that reliability on you, makes that brand so worthwhile that eventually people really begin relying on you. And that's probably, if you take anything out of my advice to you today, is that think about yourself like that. And before you make anything or any acts that is going to tarnish that brand, whether it's something you're going to post online or whether it's something stupid that you're going to do, just think about the effect that it's going to have on that brand. And it's going to be permanent. And it's going to be very difficult. Trust is very difficult to build. It's very, very easy to tarnish. So,
Thank you again. So incredibly powerful advice and feedback. Thank you so much, Medina. Have there ever been a time that you felt like giving up? And so what did you do to overcome that feeling?
all the time. It's very, you know, it's human nature, right? Because you continue to struggle. You begin to ask, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to ask, why me, why, you know, etc. You see people around you, you know, etc. So all the time, and giving up is something that you say, well, if I just give up, you know, what happens is giving up really is not the answer, because giving up is actually more difficult than eventually, because eventually you're going to succeed. And even if you don't succeed, that failure is going to be a great experience for you. The failure of the business, whatever failure that happened. So it's the only way to do it is you have to just take one step more, one day more. No, I'm not going to quit today. I'm going to quit tomorrow, and then tomorrow is tomorrow, and then tomorrow is Monday, and then Tuesday, and keep plugging away, keep persevering, and eventually, the moment that you end up finally succeeding, it's all erased. It really is all erased. You forget about everything bad, and you just really savor this incredible accomplishment that you cannot believe that you actually did, and you will be so proud of yourself. So that's it. You just got to take one step in front of the other, and keep pushing, and don't take no for an answer for yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, Mr. Medina, what are some of the biggest and greatest obstacles that you faced, and how did you overcome those?
Look, at the very beginning, it's funny because a lot of my, talk about Hispanic, I still have an accent, as you've heard, and and at the very beginning, you again talk about doubt. You're trying to compete in the big business world as a minority, as somebody with an accent or somebody with the wrong. So those obstacles, early on, I was able to face and overcome, because I learned that it really doesn't matter. What really matters is what you do. It's not what you look like or how you speak or or your accent. It's really whether you are successfully accomplishing what you told people that you were going to do. So that was a very difficult thing for me to overcome, but eventually I did, and actually eventually it ends up being a great asset for you, because again, all these difficulties that you overcome make you just stronger. They make you believe more. So that's it.
Thank you so much. I completely agree. I don't think I would be who I am if I didn't go through the struggles I've been through in my life. So, what really brought you to your career currently as it stands in your entrepreneurship? What drive was within you from when you were a kid to bring you to where you are today?
To be honest with you, the drive that really drove me is that I was very poor. My mother and father worked all the time. and we were very, very poor. We were struggling. We came here without anything, with no money and etc. And I just really wanted to succeed. I didn't want to be poor. And I didn't want to see my parents going through what they had to, and have a younger sister. So, one of the greatest things that I was able to do is, luckily, was able to give back to them a lot, and help them a lot later on for what they did for me. So I had this burning desire. And I know it sounds maybe crass, that it was really driven by the fact that I didn't want to be poor. And I think that basically I wanted to go out there and succeed in a way that I could actually take care. And that really was my main first driver. Eventually, I love business and I love what I do, and that all became a natural, but it was really driven by that first kind of fundamental need, right?
Absolutely. And I'm, again, so powerful because we all come from a variety of backgrounds. Always wonderful to strive to be greater, more, and to give back to the community. Thank you so much for that. What is it like to be an entrepreneur? We have so many students who aspire to own their own business. What is it like to be an entrepreneur and own?
Being an entrepreneur is the most exhilarating and the most anxious and depressing thing that you could ever do in life, because you go from these extreme highs to these absolute lows. You have to really create a tolerance for being able to understand risk, and being able to understand that you can't fail, and that not that failure is an option, but you have to understand that it's a possibility. And so as an entrepreneur, you have that. Again, it goes back to that little queasy feeling on your stomach, that basically, it's that dichotomy of fear and exhilaration, right? So it's the greatest feeling when you succeed. It is extremely depressing at the same time. So it's a very, very tough road, and you got to a certain extent, most entrepreneurs, they basically are so incredibly dedicated, because a lot of people tell them no, as we were saying earlier, right? And you got to believe, and you got to have that passion, right? That you believe in what you're doing, and you end up being addicted to it, because basically there's just no greater feeling.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julie. What do you see as the current future trends in technology?
So look, this is an unbelievable time for all of you young kids to really be, and for you who like technology. I mean, there's so much happening right now with the advent of 5G, and the way that how that's fundamentally going to change the way that we communicate, with artificial intelligence, and what artificial intelligence is doing to every aspect of our lives, from healthcare to music to films to everything that has to do with how you behave, etc. The Internet of Things, and the way the machines are communicating with machines. So the next wave of technology change is so busy that it's actually accelerating. So it's the whole idea of you being able to be in a self-driving car, that's not fantasy. It's here, basically. So there's just so much that is happening right now, driven by those fundamental technology changes that are happening, that it's an amazing time for you to be involved in technology.
I completely agree with you. Thank you so much. What are some of your life experiences, Mr. Medina, that had the biggest impact on your life?
I mean, obviously coming to the, as a kid to this country had a very huge impact. I mean, then eventually I started my business. And one of the things that is very important for you, all of you aspiring entrepreneurs, is that I began to succeed, and my business went really, really well. And then for reasons that had nothing to do with me, I almost went bankrupt. And I lost everything that I had, everything that I had, and I went from here from the summit to the valley without much warning. So that had a very impact in my life. But at the end of the day, it was also a great learning experience. So that, again, it goes back to all those things that end up creating those difficulties for you, end up making you stronger, and making you, again, have the ability for you to be able to succeed.
Thank you so much for that. That's something that we students persevere. Having said that, did you learn in that valley that you were in? Everything. What is a lesson that you learned and something you carry with you today?
See, it's really interesting because that valley that where I went down, and after I ended up leaving and getting an opportunity in the Middle East, where I went and spent a lot of time in the Middle East, in Kuwait and then in Saudi Arabia, and basically, I had experienced loneliness, but I never experienced solitude. I was away from my family, my friends, everything that I knew for a long period of time, and it was a very difficult time for me. But at the same time, I ended up again being the best thing that happened, because I found myself. I found parts of myself and an introspective way that I would have never happened had I continued to be seeing my friends and doing everything that was normal at the time.
Thank you. And recently, just even today, our in what we call our voter rally. How important is it, in your opinion, for our students to vote, be a part of the electoral and
It's critically important. I mean, basically, it is the foundation of our democracy. And I don't care what you believe, or etc. I mean, it's critically important, because at the end of the day, I mean, I wasn't happy seeing the debate last night and the way that it was. I mean, I'm not taking sides here on one side, but what I'm saying is, so you as a voter, it's your chance for you to be able to say, you know what, you're fired. You're basically, you, Mr. Politician, I don't like you. Or yes, I do like you so much that I want to make sure that you stay there, right? So it's critically important for you to be able to do that. And you'll be amazed how many elections are decided by just a few votes, right? And so it's really, really important to make sure that you participate in the system.
Thank you so much. Our students hopefully have learned that lesson this week. So my next question for you is, who are your role models? You're a role model for all of us, our students, me, just so you know. Who are your role models, Mr. Medina?
Yeah, so look, I mean, again, my role model was my mother and father, that basically they worked so hard to get me to where, to be able to have the opportunity to succeed. But I also have a lot of role models when it comes to I'm a voracious reader, and I like to learn about people that succeed. So I've read and continue to read about everybody, as many people as I can. So I use, I learn from other people that have done things better than me. From Warren Buffett to Steve Jobs, to Bill Gates, to Bob Johnson. So I have a lot of people that I like to, because it's they've already been there. And I think that's something that I would recommend to all of your scholars, that they begin learning on how other folks have done it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Medina. One of the things also that we've been talking about with our students is women's rights and the power of women. And with the passing recently of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the things that we've been talking about is honoring some women in our community who we really regard and have just contributed so much. One of my, I look up to the most, Gloria Stefan. I absolutely adore and love her. Do you have any other idols or anybody else that has motivated you, particularly that are women? I know you spoke about your parents.
Yeah. Well, my mother, obviously, she's not only inspired me. I think she's the only person that I still fear, because she intimidates me. A woman, she's 5 feet tall, but she intimidates me. So basically, look, my whole surrounded career has been with women executives that are made me successful. The head of our federal business was a woman that is amazing. My attorney for many years. She fought. And she eventually left here, but so she taught me a lot, and she taught me that again, that tenacity and that ability for you to be able to continue to persevere. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have so many students, as I mentioned earlier, who want to follow in your footsteps. What piece of advice would you want to pass upon the most to have a future successful entrepreneur?
Again, look, I think the best thing, the only, and I'll repeat it because it's really the best piece of advice, and somebody gave it to me when I was, young, and I took it to heart. And that is the fact that it goes back to the brand question, right? Consider yourself that brand. Please take care of that brand. Don't damage it, because that really goes back a long way. So, I mean, if you are passionate about something, if you believe in something, even if it sounds like a little lunatic or a little crazy, and people tell you you can't do it, go for it. Do it. There's nothing wrong with failing. That's the one thing that people, you have to be totally able to accept failure. But what you cannot accept is mediocrity. And if you know you've done the best you can, and you really know it, you know you've done the best you can. For example, people come to interview sometimes to ask me for a position, right? Or etc. They come to my office, and in 5 minutes, I know if that person is prepared or not. You mean you get the opportunity, you come here, and you, in today's world, where with a couple of clicks, you can find anything about anybody, and you're not even prepared? So what I'm saying is, if you do the best that you can, you have a dream, you follow it, you know you've done the best that you can. Sometimes things don't work your way, and you will end up seeing that it happened for a good reason. So my best advice is take care of that brand, make sure that you really, really, really guard it, keep a positive attitude, and if you have a dream, follow it, and don't be afraid of failing. And eventually you will see how great eventually it does feel.
Thank you so much. That's so incredibly powerful. Thank you, Mr. Medina. What do you see as the future trends in technology?
Yes, so like I was saying earlier, this is like a very advanced times, and with everything that is going on with artificial intelligence and everything that I see. So those trends are here to stay. We're not going back. And basically, there's another. That's a good part. The bad part of it is that cybersecurity is going to continue to be a very big threat. So for those of you who are interested on the defensive side and being able to protect this next generation of technology, you may be interested in a career in cybersecurity, and it's a great opportunity for all of you.
Thank you so much. And my last question to you is, what is a little known fun fact about you?
Oh, a little. So I'm a black belt in Kung Fu. How's that?
That's perfect. That's awesome. Tell us about it. What have you learned? And I know Kung Fu is huge in self-discipline. What are some of your takeaways from your experience being a black belt?
It just basically it gives you an incredible sense of confidence, and you just really learn, so much about yourself, and and you learn about your inner power within you and your chi and everything that has to do with how powerful you are inside of yourself, right? I mean, just things like breathing. I mean, that people take for granted because you breathe. We all breathe, but you understand how powerful your breath is, and and as you take it in and take it out, and you understand that that incredible power that you have inside of you, that you can just harvest and harness, and then you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay, so this is my last question. I promise. I'm sorry, Mr. Medina. Is there anything at all that you would do differently looking back in your life currently?
No, I don't look back. I'm sorry. I look forward.
I love that.
I forget the bad things, and I just look forward to to my next adventure. So can't help you.
I love it. I love it. And I think that's a phenomenal life skill. Thank you so much, Mr. Medina, for your time. I've enjoyed you so much, and I've actually learned so much from you just in this short time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Thank you, Tia. And I cannot wait for the time that I come over and say hello to all of you in person. So thank you very much. I'm honored that you invited me. Thank you.